So hello, welcome to my kitchen. We're going to do a few new cuts today. I'm recording on my cell phone. It's an older-ish Samsung J3. A little bit of an experiment. If I can do this on my phone, then I think you'll be able to do a little bit of recording from your phone, and this may come into play before the semester's over. Because I do want to see if we can make this work. I want to see a little bit more than just pictures of your finished work. I'd like to be able to evaluate a little bit of what you're cutting while you cut. We'll talk about that later when the time comes. So I'm going to get everything ready today. We're going to do segmenting citrus fruit, a Parisian cut, and the Tornai. So back in just a minute. So I have an orange. We're going to peel off the peeling, and we're going to remove the fruit from each of the membranes that separate each segment from the others. The reason we're going to do this is to make a nice garnish, to make something that is pleasing the palate, and something that's going to go maybe in salads, on top of some fish. A lot of uses for segmenting an orange. Move the camera one more time to get a little close-up of my hands, what I'm going to do. And so here we go. All right. Segment citrus fruit. Take one. Try to take only the peeling and not very much of the fruit itself. And take your time, there's no rush. Here we go. Now you can see each membrane. It's like a little tough skin. Now usually we just eat that, and no harm, no foul, but for a really good mouthfeel and a nice look, we like to separate it. So very carefully, super sharp knife, kind of pick the side. This first cut, go right all the way down to the center, to the core, okay, and then just to the one side of that other membrane until you bring the segment out, and then gradually start moving around the fruit. You want a sharp knife for this. You see these flaps, that's a good sign. That's that skin, that membrane. think that's good for you to see. And sometimes when you're not very good practice, even a trained professional messes it up from time to time. Here we have these, well, I cut through the core a little bit, but there you go, that's all that's left. And just in case we have some of the core pieces here, we can segmented fruit. Alright, I'll clean up, and when we come back, we're going to Parisian a carrot. So now we're going to Parisian cut, and Parisian, this really isn't a cut, it's more of a, well, we're going to use this little teeny tiny melon baller, okay? But here's the thing. Frequently when you use a melon baller, you know, you take a little piece out of the melon. If you're not careful, you get a whole bunch of little extra flag, little extra piece, and you get a dome instead of a complete circle. You get rounded on one side and flat on the other, and that's not what we want. And so you want to start a few. And a carrot is kind of hard to work with, so all the more better reason to practice with this. You want to carefully make an entire circle. Little new meaning to peas and carrots. So you put in a ball of carrot together with pea. These are about the same size. That's a nice presentation on your plate. That's all this is. Just little bitty circles. Potatoes, other hard root vegetables. There's Parisian. See, and if you take your time, you get some good little circles. Versus, especially this first one, if you don't take your time, see, if you carefully work the melon baller all around, you get a nice, clean, smooth circle. If you don't, then you get a rough, jagged, inconsistent. You guys have heard me say that a lot. Be consistent, consistent, consistent. Anyway, there you go. We can go on and on and on. The Parisian. We'll be back just a little bit with a potato to Tornai. Okay, welcome back. Have a potato, and today we're going to Tornai, and this is what I would like you to practice for this week's lab. Potato is probably least expensive. You can do sweet potato, you can do carrot, parsnip, daikon radish, turnip, anything like that. But my explanation and demonstration and point of reference is going to be a potato, standard russet potato. I want you to cut it in half, right down the equator, right in the middle. Okay, and then we're going to turn these each one into 4. So you're cutting 8 wedges out of each potato. Okay, from here, Tornai is French for turn, so that's what this is. That means to turn, like turning some wood on a lathe, you know, where it's spun and you have a little knife and it carves designs into this piece of wood. This is a turned potato. It should end up kind of a football shape with 7 equal sides. I'm more concerned about your technique and method and getting basically the right shape than I am exactly 7 equal sides. So I try to visualize a center point running right down the middle of this wedge. Okay, and you know, a sculptor is going to approach a stone, a piece of marble, and some will say, I didn't carve a face in the stone. I saw the face and I removed the excess stone till I got down to the face. Try to visualize this 7-sided football. I have a pointy side on the top already, and I have a fat bottom down here, and I need to make this fat bottom equal to this pointy top, and it needs to be curved. A good preparation, this is the motion. Okay, how you hold the paring knife, you draw it towards you, but you draw it in a curved motion. And as you draw it in this curved motion, a very great, I think a great idea, a good way to practice this is peeling an apple. But instead of peeling an apple around it, peel an apple from the top to the bottom. One stroke, and just carefully taking the skin off of that potato. And if you practice that, you'll get this motion down. But here we go. So I take less off up here and more off down at the bottom. That's how the carve should go. You can work slowly, carefully, methodically, be very deliberate about what and where you cut the potato. And if you have real pointy tips, kind of nip those off. And I don't know how well you can see this in the camera, but you have this sort of football shape. Okay, we'll drop it in the water. I'll do one more. I look for these sharp corners, and I start with those, removing more from the bottom side. Going round and round, turning the potato. Hence the term Tornai. All right. I'm not going to assign to you a specific number of individual Tornai pieces, individual footballs, and I'm not going to assign to you a specific vegetable, but I would like you to execute as many Tornais as you can this week, and look at the lab assignment to see exactly what it is I'd like for you to submit. And good luck on the Tornai. If you have any questions or concerns, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, and we'll work through anything you're experiencing. Good luck. See you next week.